Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Direct Application. I'm your host, Matt Harrington. Please like, heart, share, subscribe to this channel in any way you are listening to it or watching it. It really helps us move this forward. So I was on a call with a client a couple weeks ago, and we were talking, and we were two old dogs at the leadership development, cultural transformation, industry. And I had just begun actually working with a personal coach, a gym coach, diet, weight, weightlifting, all that kind of stuff as I get ready for my big 4-0. If you've been listening along, and we've been talking about the 40th coming up in December. And so I was talking about a little bit of that. And we were talking, the client and me, we're talking about the fact that even though we try and do a workshop here or a retreat there, that, really none of it is super sticky, right? We know that over 92% of material that is trained on gets lost in the next couple of weeks. People don't remember it. And so what would be more helpful, right, than just trying to do these one-off, two-off, even if you have a slew of trainings or retreats, it's still tough to let that stuff stick. And I was kind of thinking and relating it to the kind of the trainer that I'm working with. I'm like, it has to be somewhat transformational, and it has to be daily. There has to be a daily itch, a daily work ethic to this. Now, take that and think about it through leadership development or training, or, might just even call it, career development. How do we make that kind of a daily, if not a weekly occurrence? And so really thinking about a leadership development plan, more like a personal gym trainer plan as well, right? So we've got our diet. When we think of a gym and a trainer, we're thinking diet, gym. We even start to get into mental, right? What's our mental space? How are we imagining ourselves? What's our sleep patterns, right? We want to make sure we get sleep. We even start to dig into some extra nutrients, right? We want to make sure we're having a multivitamin. You may even be exploring some other, supplements in order to beef up or to create that six-pack ab. Do we do that at leadership too? Do we weekly go into things and say, I need to read X amount of articles, white papers, books. I need to attend X amount of webinars, and I need to work with a coach to kind of go through a lot of that stuff. And then as you get into more advanced training from a gym perspective, you start to look at like the what they might call biohacking, right? And so you want to be looking at your blockchain amino acids, and you might even be exploring some creatine uses or high protein diet, or even, picking in on your muscles to make sure one's functioning or one needs to function or the joint needs to function in relation to the muscle. And again, I relate that back to leadership development. Are we that specific in particular? When we actually get a person up to that level of variable confidence and competence, they know what they're doing, they're a good leader, they're top-notch, they're their best executive self. How are we advancing their thinking? How are we really getting into the nitty and gritty of it? And so I just think it's a really interesting comparison where, oftentimes we go to one or two workshops, we try and get as much learning and development in, or continuous learning in a given year, versus really working alongside a coach, a trainer, even, by yourself in a ChatGPT forum where you might create 6 weeks of continuous learning and leadership development. So if that's helpful, to just even kind of think about, maybe I should hire a trainer. Matt's getting up to his 40th birthday. Maybe I want to join him. Please do. But also, I think it's really interesting that, like a good muscle, like a good body, we need to be crafting our leadership development very in line with that attention to detail, the pursuit of excellence in the whole spectrum of health. And so your direct application this week is, why don't you take a health assessment of your leadership development? Where are you at? Are you at your 40th year? Are you at your 30th, your 20th, maybe your 50th or 60th? What do you want to What do you want to improve upon in the next year? As we wind down the year and get ready for the next year, something to think about. In any event, hopefully this has just hit the right chord with some of you. Really appreciate you tuning in. Until next time.